we will talk to Jelmer. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Hi, Jelmer. What would you like to talk about today?
Hi, Matt. How are you doing?
Hi. Good, thank you.
Good, thanks.
Yes, I'd like to talk about when you say that God either exists or he doesn't exist, I think it's a false dilemma. There's a third option, and that third option is that we're just discussing the true nature of reality, and it might be that reality is ontologically indeterminable.
So, first of all, you can't. So, if the statement X exists and X does exist and X does not exist, that is a logical, true dichotomy, period. You can't just assert that there's a third option. Something either exists or it does not exist. Something either exists or it does not exist. That is a true dichotomy. You can't talk about whether or not it is determinable, because that's a separate issue. Whether or not something is whether or not something's existence is determinate or not is separate from whether it exists or not. So it is a true dichotomy.
So in structure, it is a correct dichotomy. But there is a third option, and that
no, there's not. There's not a third option in a true dichotomy.
Are you denying that?
Yes, I'm denying that there's a third option in a true dichotomy. By definition, there is no third option.
So the true nature of reality cannot be ontologically indeterminately.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
According to you.
No, that's not what I'm saying. No, I'm not. I'm saying that something either exists or does not exist, and there is no other option. You're talking about something different. What is whether or not its nature is determinate or identifiable or not.
If we're talking about the existence of a God, we're just speculating about the true nature of reality, correct?
No, we're not.
Is it defined or is it not defined?
Is what defined or not defined? If we're talking about a God, first of all, we weren't talking.
Is reality
oh my God,
inspired or not divinely inspired? It's a simple question.
No, it's not a simple question. You're ignoring the fact that either a God exists or it does not exist. There is no other option.
So, is reality divinely inspired or not? That's the question we are discussing.
Is reality what?
Are using
divinely inspired? He's asking, wouldn't you have to know whether or not a God exists?
I don't know whether or not it's divinely inspired or not, but oh my God, Jelmer, can I finish a fucking sentence? I don't know whether or not it is divinely inspired or not, but I do know that it must either be divinely inspired or not. The fact that we don't know what it is independent of what it is.
Ontologically indeterminable. How do you exclude that it's ontologically?
You're just wait. Okay, I think wait, Jelmer, 1 sec. I just like what I'm hearing you say. What, Jelmer?
Goodbye.
Oh my goodness.
Goodbye, Jelmer. We're done with you.
Oh my goodness. I guess because it seems like what he's saying is that he doesn't know the answer. Oh my gosh. Okay.
For everything, it either exists or it doesn't exist. Now, what Jelmer's talking about is whether or not it can be determined whether or not it exists or not. And that is a completely separate issue. And whether it exists, if it exists, it may be impossible for us to determine that it exists. And if it doesn't exist, it may be impossible for us to determine that it exists. But it still either exists or it doesn't.
That was intense.
There's either there's $100 bill in my wallet or there's not. But that's separate from whether or not you have any reason to believe there's $100 bill in my wallet. That's Jelmer's confusion.
Yeah, he's saying he's essentially saying there's no way to determine it. Thus, the dichotomy